So, what is goody? I'm Win. You're watching A Musician's Perspective. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but whatever, it's fine. I don't really remember the intro, but you're gonna have to deal with what you're gonna have to deal with. So, I wanted to talk about hearing loss today. So, I have microtia and atresia. Microtia is where the outer ear of my left ear did not form. And atresia is where the ear canal did not form. What this means for me is that I have both conductive hearing loss due to the ear canal being closed off, as well as a little bit of sensory neural hearing loss. Honestly, I'm not quite sure. I've done some tests, but they're not super conclusive. I really need to go to a specialist and find out for real. So what does this mean for someone like me who's an audio engineer? It means that, number one, I can't really tell where sounds are coming from. It's a lot more just like an indistinct wash of sound because you use the timing difference between your two ears to locate sounds and the spectral differences as well. And more importantly for me, it means that I can't really hear music recorded in stereo in the same way. I can't experience it in the same way that most people can. What this means is that I have to rely on some tools to formulate a version of stereo that works for me. Today we're going to be talking about some of the ways that I've learned to deal with this issue. Some of them are electrical in nature, like this box. Some of them are digital, like the computer behind me. And some of them are just like little gadgets that help me out. So to start with, I built this box. This box allows me to check power balance between two distinct channels. I put this in between my line outs of my interface and my monitors. So what I can do is point my working ear towards the two speakers at about the same angle each, and then set this on the ground and then click on or off a channel. And I can do it at the same time, allowing me to check whether or not like a signal is either equal across both fields or like weighted one way or another. And I can check different things like where do I want to place a certain element. So as long as I'm doing it with intentionality, I can really use this super effectively. It also means I have a master kill switch, which is nice for different reasons. I'm also in the process of making another box. This box, on the other hand, is a mono stereo switch. So you know how in most DAWs you can check whether or not your mix is working in mono or stereo? This is just an analog version of that. This other switch allows me to switch left-right, which is fundamentally a very similar way of using this, except this way I don't have to actually turn one channel off. I can just see how it's being perceived in context left or right. For other people, this might not be super useful, but it's just what I've learned to work. Also, I use things in the computer like VST plugins, like this one is Manipulator by Bose Digital Labs. It allows me to flip left-right like I was talking about with the pedal that I was designing. It allows me to change the polarity of left-right, and it allows me to have a mono switch, which is all super nice things. Most DAWs have these functionalities. I know in Reaper, I check my mono mixes all the time. Super important. I also use Isotope Insight, which is a super fucking useful tool for any engineer. Like it has loudness and then your normal stuff, correlation, etc., etc. But for me specifically, I pay close attention to the correlation meters and stuff like that, so I can know like what's happening in my left-right channels visually, as well as using this tool to be able to check in the real world as well. Along with those tools, my final tool that I really like using are these bone conduction headphones that my girlfriend Jennifer, who is also an audio engineer, thought I could use. So bone conduction headphones are interesting. What they do is they're passed right through the bone directly to the organs within your head. What this means for someone like me who definitely has conductive hearing loss, but is unsure right now of sensory neural hearing loss, whether or not that's an issue for me. But what it means is that I can kind of hear from my left ear, which is honestly a game changer for me, because being able to hear both being able to hear both in context works really, really, really well just to check my mixes. These are Bluetooth. They're actually designed for runners so that runners can listen to music while still being able to hear the outside world. It also works for people with hearing loss. Aftershocks, they do a good job, but audio quality is not there yet. And hopefully in a couple years it will be, but right now it's still a little bit muddy, a little bit fuzzy, like high end needs some tampering with, to say the least. But it's a technology that's not super utilized right now, and I hope to see it grow. These work well for me because I get a sense of what my mix might translate to, even if it's not exactly right, because I'm not sure. I think there's some sensory neural thing messing with the timbres that I'm able to perceive and like the frequency width I'm able to perceive. Not sure if that's the fact that I don't have an ear canal or the fact that whatever. Regardless, different video, different story. But these allow me to have a decent idea of what my mix is going to translate into. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. This has been A Musician's Perspective. I'm Win, blah, 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 etc., etc. Follow me on SoundCloud. I don't know.